Welcome, everyone, to the latest edition of Tell Me About It on the USFL Network. We're going to jump right in. Week 10 was exciting. Every game mattered. It affected the playoffs somehow. We're going to start with the North because every game was basically like a North semifinal. We're going to start with Scout. He covered the Generals this week. Scout, what do you got?
If you look at me, I'm free-falling, a perfect analogy for the 2023 New Jersey General season. After ending at the top of the standings in the North in the regular season of last year, and losing to Birmingham again in Week 1 of this year, they worked their way to the top of the North standings in Week 3, just to lose all but one game to close out the season. And with a win-and-end scenario in Week 10 against the Maulers, the New Jersey Generals laid an egg, only putting up 6 points and losing by 20, in one of their worst losses of the season. New Jersey's going to be on vacation for the rest of the year.
It definitely was their worst loss this season, right? The game mattered so much against the Pittsburgh Maulers, a team that they've kind of dominated, right? Out of all the divisional rivals for the Maulers, it's the one team that, the Generals have pretty much controlled every single game. I know week 2 was pretty close. I can go on and on, I follow the Maulers very closely. But the Generals laid a dud this week, right? It's crazy to think Mike Riley was that coach that everyone thought was like old reliable. He's going to figure it out. And it seemed like in week 10, like he didn't figure it out at all. Like, why, when you couldn't move the ball, would you not switch your quarterback when you're famous for switching your quarterbacks, right? Why wasn't Dakota Prukop out there? I don't know. Or Eric Barrier or whoever was active. I don't get it. I guess we'll have a whole offseason to analyze that one because the Generals, they're out of here. Now moving on to who beat the Generals, we'll go to myself, who I filmed this on Sunday, Father's Day.
Glorious! No, I won't give in till I'm victorious. And I will defend.
Oh, hey there. Oh, the car. Relaxed by the pool. Maulers, they're in the playoffs for the first time. It's time to hammer down. And whoever they're playing, I'm filming this on Sunday because I'm going to watch it. The Maulers in the playoffs.
It is glorious, me with the black and gold support. It was glorious. Great win, great team win, dominated the defense. The offense did enough. Special teams executed enough. Heck, Mike Riley was kicking the ball out of bounds and squibbing it because he was so scared to return to excellence. Josh Simmons. It's as simple as this. The Maulers are rolling right now, heading into Canton again because they haven't left Canton since the 22-0 loss. They've been in Canton the whole time. They could stay there for another 2 weeks. I'm cool with that. But if you want to know more Mauler stuff, come follow me, HammerTime_web on Twitter, Instagram, but also Hammer Time on YouTube on the USFL Network. But we're going to go to our opponent, the dancing fool himself. Mav, take it away.
What's up, guys? On Sunday, the Michigan Panthers won their final home game and clinched the playoffs, beating the Philadelphia Stars 23-20. Thanks to Marcus Sims and his special teams game with 4 amazing returns and a blocked punt for a touchdown that was recovered by A.J. Richardson, the Michigan Panthers, led by E.J. Perry, were able to take over the game in the second half, mostly the fourth quarter, and beat the Philadelphia Stars to clinch our first playoff appearance in the new era. So next weekend we'll be taking on the Pittsburgh Maulers, and we'll hope to pull off the upset against a team that happened to beat us twice. Now we know what they have, so hopefully we can beat them and move on to that championship and see everyone in Canton. So let's hunt. Let's go Panthers.
Yeah, definitely. The Panthers pulled a fast one, really, by switching Josh Love after they've kind of been married to Josh Love, especially after the Carson Strong injury. They have 2 quarterbacks that have been there a month, maybe 5 weeks. They decide to go to E.J. Perry, little RPO action, can move with his feet, completely different than Josh Love. It seemed like the Stars weren't ready for it. And I'm really excited for this game because it's not the Josh Love Panthers, most likely. Now they could throw another wrench, and you could see Horton planning for RPO, and then all of a sudden Josh Love is the starter, and it kind of changes the game plan. Or they just got to figure out a way to stop the RPO, make EJ Perry beat you with his arm. By the way, go check Mark Gilbert's pocket still. Anyways, I'm not going to keep trash talking. I got a full week of that. Anyways, checking in with Xander, our newest correspondent. He's not going to cover a team just like Scout. He's going to kind of be. He's on USFL Authority. He subbed in for me last week when I got hit by the storm here, the tornado in South Georgia. Xander stepped in, but it now looks like Xander's in a storm-ridden area himself. Xander, take it away.
What's up, USFL Network fans? Xander here, talking about the Stars today. Unfortunately, they lost their second game in their back-to-back win and you're in weeks. Case Cookus finished with 24-44 passing for 247 yards and 2 TDs, and his leading receiver, Corey Coleman, couldn't finish out the game, finishing with just 4 receptions and 55 yards. He pulled a hamstring late in the game, which really, I think, reflected the outcome, not having him out there in the final few drives. Unfortunately, the Stars did not make it in the playoffs this year. After going on a hot streak last year to make it in the championship game, this year they fell just short. Let's see if they can get Case Cookus back and some of their weapons next season, see if they can make another run at the championship. Until next time.
I definitely, out of all the teams and the way the season ended, I think the Stars, it ended the worst. They started off slow. They catch a little bit of fire, especially going through the South teams, right? They knock off the Breakers. They already beat the Showboats, right? So they've got 2 wins in the South, the big, powerful South, which the South guys are going to come up and tell me how great the South is. But they just fell apart. They needed to win one game, and they couldn't do it. They could not beat the Generals, who ended up with the worst record in the league, and they could not beat the Panthers, who are switching quarterbacks week 10. They definitely have to be the most disappointing team for this year. I know I've been throwing darts at them all year. I just feel like that is the worst way to end. You controlled all your destiny. You just had to win 1 out of the 2 games. You didn't need any help, and they couldn't do it. Bart Andrews got some soul searching over there in Philadelphia, if they move to Philadelphia. Anyways, we're moving to the South. The big, bad, powerful teams in the South. We're going to start with Buck.
Hey everyone, Buck here. So, an excellent game for the Birmingham Stallions with that win over the Memphis Showboats. Of course, that 27-20 win. Alex Magoo, not a super great first half, but in the second half, absolutely going out MVP style and making sure that the Stallions have a chance. Of course, Jay Sternberger was able to go out there and provide the Stallions defense in a final regular season outing. That first half was something you do not really want to see from them, but in that second half, they absolutely kind of went out there and they dominated the Showboats for that sweep over the Memphis Showboats to wrap up the regular season. Now, all eyes are towards the playoffs. I am, for one, interested to see what this this New Orleans Breakers team is going to do. It's, again, kind of a coin flip when it comes to wins. So, looking forward to that playoff game.
Everyone's looking forward to that playoff game, Buck. Thank you for your great coverage on the Stallions on the field. Buck is everywhere in Birmingham. But everyone's looking forward to that game. Even the Mauler fan and me, Maverick. It's the best rivalry in the league. It goes back and forth, mostly dominated by ponies, but the Waves have always played them tough. New Orleans, Birmingham, Alabama, Louisiana, the whole football kind of rivalry that's going on there. Before we move on, we're unfortunately the Cap couldn't make a video in time, so I'm going to sum up the Showboat season. Started off slow, 0-3, won 5 in a row, lost 2 at the end. That's the most roller coaster way. That, like, a couple weeks ago, everyone thought the Showboats were the best team in the league. They kind of fell apart when they took on the Stallions and the Breakers. We'll see. We'll see what Todd Haley does in the offseason. Cole Kelly seems like he's the guy. Injuries started to mount up, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Defense was solid. Cornell Link is probably a head coach in waiting. This team will be fine. This team will be fine. I know 5-5 is not what they were aiming for, especially with those great crowds in Memphis. But guess what? Only 2 teams in the South can make it. 2 teams in the North too. They weren't able to execute against 2 of the teams that were in front of them the last 2 weeks of the year. They beat the Breakers. They may be in there right now, right? I do want to say that I think Skip took it a little personal when Haley chased him down in week 2, saying, I'm going to remember that 42-2, because Alex Magoo played the entire game. CJ Maribel played the entire game. Last year, they're in the same predicament, the Stallions against then the Todd Haley Bandits, and they kind of pulled off, and they were like, let's get healthy. It seemed a little bit more personal this time. I give credit to Skip. Like, if you're going to do it, then do it, right? He was committed to it. He was upset. It seemed like he was upset. It kind of took personal. We move on. Stallions, Breakers, rematch of the South Division title game last year. So moving on to the Breakers, let's go to Mr. Breaker himself from New Orleans, Louisiana, via Charleston, West Virginia. Here is Low.
The teams would trade punts in the first quarter, and leading into the second quarter, it was tied 0-0. Johnny Dixon would score a second quarter touchdown from 30 yards out to give the Breakers the lead. Houston would have a field goal opportunity, but a botched snap would leave them with 0 points, and your score at half was 7-0 New Orleans. In the third quarter, D. Anderson would score a touchdown to put the Breakers up 14-0, but Houston would answer with a Mark Thompson touchdown to cut the lead down 14-7 headed into the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, New Orleans would add a field goal to put them up 17-7. Houston would kick a field goal of their own to make it 17-10. Houston would have an opportunity late in the game to try to score, but they were not able to. Your final score would end up being 17-10 New Orleans, and they are moving on to the playoffs.
Low with the perfect explanation of every single moment of the game. A big moment was when that botched snap and Curtis Johnson's mismanagement of the clock, and also 4th and 18, and all. It just seemed very disorganized. D. Filippo looks like he is the real deal. At the beginning of the season, me personally, I was like, I don't know about this guy. Even after they beat the Maulers and started 5-0 or 4-0, whatever they started, I felt like, I don't know. It's a pretty good team. When they lost their games in a row, their losing streak, and then they bounced back going into the biggest games of the season, there seemed to be something different with this Breakers team. And we'll see what happens going forward. In the South Division Championship, everyone's looking forward to that Sunday. I believe it's at 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox. The North Championship, while we're talking about it, is at 7 p.m. Eastern on NBC and from Canton, Ohio, the Hall of Fame. Saves last. We're saving it for last. Ace, tell me what happened with your gamblers. My buddy Ace, tell me what happened with your gamblers.
What's up, Gamblers fans? Sadly, the season has come to a close. All good things have to come to an end. We played the Breakers. We had the chance. There's a little bit of solace in the fact that the Panthers won, so we wouldn't have gotten into the playoffs anyway, but it would have still been nice to end the season on a win. Big shout out to all the fans that have been, watching my show, have been following the team throughout the season. Big shout out to all the players. The bittersweet part of this league is that a lot of these players, a lot of the names that you come to know and love that are going to be really good will move on and won't be in the league next year. So thank you to the whole team and coaching staff, and go Gamblers. Can't wait for next season. But the season's not over yet for 4 teams, so make sure to watch the playoffs. Next year, watch the Gamblers. See ya.
I can't even make fun of him. I can't even joke around about it. The heartfelt message. Ace covers that team like nobody else. He is Mr. Gambler. I told him one time that if he has a child, and he's fortunate to have a child, the kid should be named Kenny Rogers. Simple as that. He's a gambler. Ace is definitely the gambler guy for the internet world. I felt bad for him there. Watching a video was a little tough. I'm going to be honest with you. But we move on, and there's only 4 teams left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? We're ready to go. Panthers, Maulers, North Championship. Who would have thought that 2 weeks ago? I would have. This guy would have. Stallions, Breakers. Sunday night on Fox. More of the same, right? In the South, more of the same. Who do you think is going to win? Leave a comment below on the YouTube channel or on any of our Twitters. We'll count it up. We'll have the community pick, the community's pick. See if the community beats some of our residential correspondents. This has been Tell Me About It. Thank you. I've enjoyed it. Keep following us. Tell Me About It's going to do the USFL 50 and all the offseason news. This and the USFL Authority will kind of take precedent over some team shows. Team shows will still be out, just maybe not every week. We'll go into that a little bit more because Buck, Mav, myself, and Lo, we're still worrying about football. Can't say the rest. I can't say much about the rest. You know what I mean? This has been Tell Me About It. Web out.